When we think of the Great Wall, we picture an architectural marvel, a vast military structure built from brick and stone. It stands as the enduring imprint of imperial will upon the land. History records its scale and endurance, yet it rarely lingers on the true foundation beneath the masonry. People. In official records, the builders appear only as blurred figures. Their lives and deaths are reduced to brief phrases. Many perished in service. The dead lay in succession. The imperial administration efficiently mobilized labor, materials, and grain. What it did not mobilize was sustained medical care or meaningful protection for the workers themselves. Within the logic of the project, the human body became a quantifiable resource. Injury and illness were accepted as inevitable losses. But history is never written in only one way. When the doors of official protection closed, another system quietly began to operate. In crowded work sheds, in remote valleys, in corners beyond the supervisor's gaze. It did not arise from imperial decrees. It left no trace in court archives. Its law was survival. Its texts were lived experience. Its binding force was a fragile but persistent spark of human solidarity. This is a small epic of survival, one that unfolds through food, tools, and wounds, and is co-written by countless unnamed individuals. Today, we brush away the dust and allow this silent epic to be heard. Within the harsh operating logic of the Great Wall construction system, hunger was not incidental, but structural. It was more constant than falling rocks or enemy arrows. Official rations were often insufficient and coarse. Hunger was not a sudden crisis. It was a slow daily erosion of the body and the will. Even under such pressure, survival strategies began to take shape. The first layer of ingenuity lay in making full use of the natural environment. Farmers and soldiers drawn from across the empire brought with them the practical knowledge of their homelands. Men from the south recognized edible ferns near water. Veterans from the north knew which hardy roots could sustain life in barren land. Around evening fires, fragments of local knowledge were exchanged and pieced together into a shared survival map. Foraging for wild greens and digging for roots was not only about filling the stomach. It was also an improvised defense against scurvy and bodily decline. Yet even more revealing was the way food was distributed. A thin pot of porridge followed unwritten rules. The thicker portion often went to those who were exhausted or ill. This was not an act of simple charity, but a rational strategy shaped by the constant proximity of death. Preserving one worker meant safeguarding the group's remaining labor strength. In a world where death was routine, fairness and collective identity were not ideals but survival requirements. Water followed the same collective logic. Even without a clear understanding of disease, repeated and costly experience had taught them to boil what they drank. Drawing water and tending the fire were no longer private chores, but shared obligations tied directly to the group's survival. Through such practices, a parallel system of self-regulation took shape alongside the official order. It could not provide abundance, but it reduced deaths caused by thirst and unsafe water. When the body becomes the final instrument of labor, slowing its deterioration becomes an urgent necessity. Survival became a constant negotiation between efficiency and endurance. The first step was to reshape the tools to fit the body. The empire issued standardized picks and shovels. Yet such uniform tools rarely matched individual strength or posture. Workers quietly adjusted the length of wooden handles and wrapped worn cloth around the grips to better suit their movements. These modifications were not superficial. They reduced unnecessary strain and slowed the breakdown of muscles and joints. Beyond physical tools, they also developed collective mechanisms to endure pain. When lifting massive stones at the limits of their strength, workers broke into low, coordinated calls. These were not songs, but functional signals that synchronized effort and breathing. By merging individual strain into a single, unified rhythm, the burden of exertion was redistributed across the group. The work itself did not become easier, but in that shared cadence, the body's breaking point could be pushed slightly further. It was one of the few means by which they resisted being reduced to isolated exhaustion. Care for the body itself was equally essential. During short breaks, workers kneaded sore muscles and stretched one another according to techniques drawn from accumulated experience. Those who understood how to relieve strain became valuable within the group, not because of status, but because their knowledge helped preserve the body as the primary instrument of labor for longer. The objective was clear: to delay physical collapse before the body was fully depleted. Wounds and solidarity. When injury or illness struck, and no official medical care was available, a rough but practical way of responding took shape. Lives depended on difficult choices made with little certainty, and guided only by experience. The first priority was survival. Everything else came after. For the small, everyday wounds of life, ashes from the hearth were pressed against the skin to stop the bleeding. When an artery was cut, the answer was immediate and decisive. Heated metal was applied to seal the wound. Everyone knew what it meant: pain, the risk of infection, scars that might never fade. But there was no debate. Blood loss could end a life in minutes. Infection might take days. If both carried danger, they chose the one that allowed more time. Survival was the first rule, but that rule depended on memory. Such decisions arise spontaneously. There were no written manuals. What they had were stories, accounts of what had once worked, what had failed, what had kept someone alive on a battlefield or in a distant province. These stories were their only source of knowledge. In the work sheds, those who remembered and those who could recount such experiences carried quiet authority. Beneath all this lay a simple reality: everyone lived under the same risk. Once someone could no longer stand, that person depended entirely on others. In such moments, people bound by shared origin or daily proximity stepped forward. Small groups formed around the injured. They did what was needed. Someone brought water. Someone else found food. Another cleaned the wound. Someone stayed nearby in case the fever rose at night. It did not heal the sick, but it kept them from being left to fail alone. An untreated wound can turn deadly. A fever can rise unchecked. Weakness becomes fatal when no one brings water, no one changes the cloth, no one stays awake through the night. What would have crushed one person alone became a burden the community could carry in turn. Beneath the Great Wall, life organized itself. Food, tools, wounds, each demanded attention, each depended on the others. All of it pointed toward the same necessity: endurance. It should be acknowledged. This system could not and did not overturn the staggering mortality rates of the project. It could not defeat structural exploitation or epidemic disease. On the grand scale of history, its impact appears negligible. Yet the scale shifts when the setting narrows. On a freezing night inside a worker's shed, its meaning changes. This faint light did not dispel the darkness. Yet its impact was neither symbolic nor abstract but materially real. It illuminated faces marked by pain and brought warmth to bodies nearing collapse. Its deeper significance lay beyond immediate relief. At a sociological and psychological level, it produced a fragile but functioning community. On the ruins of institutional abandonment, it rebuilt fragile networks of mutual aid and shared obligation. Outside a system that reduced people to numbers, it reaffirmed their capacity for feeling, attachment, and responsibility. In the end, the Great Wall stands as an indivisible yet internally opposed dual image. On one side stands stone and brick, an enduring line of imperial authority. On the other are the countless lives beneath its foundation, whose quiet persistence composed an epic of endurance and solidarity. The first speaks of conquest, order, and permanence. The second speaks of patience, mutual obligation, and fragile human warmth. History takes shape in the tension between these two images. We must hear both the triumphant horns above the wall and the fragile breathing beneath it. Only then does a fuller picture of civilization emerge, and it was this faint light that allowed the breath to endure.